All right, so before we continue, here's a sneak peek at what Susie Q turns into. I mean, she's a baddie. So let's see the process, how I get there. So first off, I rendered this with the comic setting to get a cool background, but it's good to have the, I'm not going to, obviously, you know, I don't use this pose or anything. I could have though. But what's important here is that I wanted a good background, but I didn't want it to just be a background by itself, because then sometimes the character doesn't fit into it right. But if you do it with the character, like you say, like give me this cool background, like whatever you want, in this case like a trailer park and like a messy trailer park basically, then you can just take the lady and pop her out and then make the background from there. So in Photoshop, you use the remove tool, bam, she's gone. Then we just go and get rid of some of those birds, fix up a little stuff here and there. And if you want, you can even paint over this a little bit and then take it back into AI and have it refix some of the stuff up. But it's not necessary if you're going to be covering it up anyway, because we're going to pretty much put her right there where it was. So got rid of some of that stuff, fix up some of that. All right, then I go ahead and I just set it, set that layer into the background and just set it to like the opacity down a little bit, so that we can kind of sketch on top of it. So I have an idea of like how tall I want everything. So I'm going for the tallness here. I'm setting down the feet where I want the feet, where I want the head, where I kind of want the middle mark here. And I'm just kind of setting all this up to just kind of give an idea of how I want the pose to be. So whenever you're going to do a pose, well, not whenever, but oftentimes you're going to do a pose like this where the weight is shifted on one leg, like you saw the end result, how we're getting there. Then sketch it to where you have the leg almost going, the leg that the weight is on. You can draw a straight line like this and just have that leg pretty much follow that straight line. So this leg is pretty much going straight up and down, but it has a lot of curve to it because you have the hips being kicked out here, because the weight's kind of pushing up and pushing this hip out to the side of this bone right here, right? The one that goes right here to the edge. And you have this nice curve right here coming down to the leg, and you have this curve right here. You have this kind of M shape like that, and that's what gives it the whole thing curve. Like, it's hard to tell that it's just really the leg is just straight up on a straight line, but it doesn't seem like it because all the curvature right here. Then you just want to kick this leg out right here to the edge. You can also kick it out and then bring it back in behind. That's kind of hard to balance like that, but you could, off like put the ribs over here more to kind of offset that, because you have to like think about how the person's balanced. Anyway, in this case, usually kicking the leg out is nice. You can have her kind of on her tippy toe a little bit here, or you can, there's different ways you can do it, but this is just a really nice pose, so that's why I went with that. Now, notice I have very little room. So the head, the head size here, I have very little room for the rib cage, right? And this is a good practice, so try practicing this. Give yourself nice long legs down here, and don't give yourself as much room up here. So instead of dividing it in half, which is what I teach that method too for like more realistic bodies, but if you want this more like stylized thing that I'm doing, because that's the challenge with someone's like, yeah, but your older one was more stylized. Well, I just showed you I can do stylized with AI too, and this is like the process. So I'm gonna sketch all this in. I originally had this recorded in real time. If anyone wants the real time video, let me know. It's really long. It's like 2 hours or something. But if anyone wants to just, I talk about a lot of cool stuff here in real time that I'm just kind of explaining. So I can just kind of get the basic idea of the boots in there. I had to rearrange the leg. And so look at the very little room. Look how small the rib cage is. Like, this is good to practice because it almost feels like you don't have enough room for everything. And it can really feel like you're cramped because look, you still have to put the neck in here. You have to have a little bit of room between, the like where the sternum is and before the breast actually starts. The breasts have to fit in here. And then you still have to have like the rib cage, the belly button. The belly button's actually gonna be more down here because it's the love handles, right? The belly button's here. So it just seems like you might not have enough room, but get used to trying to do that. Where notice, so from here to here is longer than from here to here. Then you have the head shape, right? And then so from here to here is really short compared to here down here. That's just gives that nice long leg look. But from here to here is feels really short. It's like, man, am I going to fit the breast and everything in here? Just practice that. And so I'm giving her waist. I'm making her waist like thinner than her thigh here. It's actually not as, her thigh is thicker than her waist. And I think Jessica Rabbit's like that too. I like that look sometimes. So we're gonna go with that really nice stylized look. So I'm just kind of placing here. I was kind of showing in real time like the kind of shape I go for. It's like a K, right? You have this kind of K shape where this line's almost straight and then this is kicked out. It kind of reminds me of a K. the letter K. So I like to draw the breast like that. I just straight up boom, like an oval shape here. And again, if you want to see the real time video, just let me know. I just figured that most people wouldn't want to watch like 2 hours or something. I was thinking about actually playing that in real time right now, that little part. I'll just kind of like that kind of shape right there. Just basically, it's like an oval shape here. And because I'm having her slightly, not turned too much away from us, but just slightly turned away from us, like a little bit of a, almost 3/4 view, but not quite, right? So she's not straight up facing us. She's turning away from us just a little bit. And so then we get the boobs kind of coming outside here more than over here. That's why there's an angle here. Otherwise, it would be on, if she's straight up just facing us straight on, you'd have the same amount of boobs hanging over the rib cage on each side. And that's typically the case. So pretty much almost any boob size, unless they're like really, really tiny, you're going to have a little bit of the boob, but, overlapping the rib cage there, like coming outside of it. So that's kind of important. So I'm just kind of going through some of the important thoughts and stuff I was having as I was designing this. Like there's a lot of stuff I was thinking about too when I wanted to redesign it. And I can't remember, what was I showing? Oh yeah, so here I was showing about how, okay, what I wanted to show here was this is the rib cage, this is the breast, this is the pectoral muscle right here. I talk about all this real time, and it connects to the humerus bone, just a little bit of anatomy stuff here. And that's what gives us this line right here, right? So I'm just explaining why I drew that line, because some people don't know like why certain lines are drawn. It's not random. Like it's all, there's anatomy based around all this stuff. So what I'm showing here is that the size of the hand, so I'm trying to get the size of the hand is basically almost as big as your head. From the palm of your hand to the tips of your fingers, the tips of your fingers will go a little bit above your eyebrows, sometimes a little bit taller. It's really rare that your tips of your fingers will touch your hairline, but maybe if you have like really long fingers or hands or something, but typically it's more like this right here, like I just showed. And now I just went, and I always draw hands a little bit bigger. I don't know why. I think I draw everything a little bit bigger than what it's supposed to be, like when I'm drawing it in isolation, and then I reduce the size. Also, it's just easier to kind of draw these details with the hand slightly exaggerated and big like that, and then I reduce the size a little bit. And I'm like, yeah. And even so, I kind of want her hand kind of coming out toward us a little bit, so the hand is closer to the camera than the head. So you could actually, like force a perspective like that anyway. But see how it's starting to look cool and stylized, this cool stylized cartoon, by having this really small rib cage and small waist, and you get this nice, cool stylized look here. And so as long as you do the work, will AI do this on its own? No. Like that's why you have to use my techniques, right? You have to kind of design the character as you want it, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm designing the pose, but I'm also designing the way the figure looks. Now, if you're not that good of a you can't really draw that well, there's a way you can do this in DAZ Studio, and if you want, I can like show you some techniques, and I do that in my my course. So definitely take the course. This is all the techniques that I'm using right here for AI, I teach in my AI course, like how to use AI to become better artists. I only have one AI course right now, so go check it out at masterpaintingnow.com. Now, what I plan to do is either add a lesson to that course. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of looking at my old drawing and just kind of figuring out like, what I'm doing different and why I'm making those changes. So first off, this was a really fast sketch that originally, I was just practicing. I was literally just practicing sketching from imagination. I like drawing from imagination. It's just fun to do sometimes. And so I was looking at nothing when I did this, and looking at it now, I can tell the torso is way too long, how long the torso is. And that just doesn't have as cute of a look as this does. That's why I changed it. But she still has this thin waist and everything like that. And there's like some style there, but there's some things I wanted to change. I didn't want her to have such a big head. This is more like a cartoon kind of head. I didn't really like that. So I went with more smaller head, like you might see in anime, with some anime at least. And then the background, I did it so fast because originally I just was drawing this from imagination. Then I just kept going. I was like, hey, let's go start coloring it. And I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool. Then I start designing different things and elements about this character. I'm like, she's looking pretty cool. I need to put some background. So then I just started painting a quick background here. It was all done very quick. I finished the whole thing in like, I think 2 hours or something like that. But anyway, the point is that I want to try to recreate or make it better. You already kind of saw where I was going with it. And then in real time, I'm talking about like, how her face looks here. And I kind of want to retain some of that because she looks cute. So I want to carry some of that over. Also, I'm thinking about how our boots might be. So I look at some different boots here. I can't remember everything I talked about. I talked about a lot of stuff about the boots. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to add those in now. So then what I do is I make a new layer. So I always have my sketch on one layer, then I make all my clothes that I want for my character as I design the character out. I draw on a new layer. And in fact, I should have just drew like basic feet here now that I think about it. And so now I'm just kind of designing out the boots here, just thinking about, you know, how it looks from the front view. I was looking at a couple different angles. Here, man, she's super cute. I actually mentioned that too. Anyway, so now I'm thinking about the hair. And at first I was just going to do the hair I did before, but then I was like, you know what, the hair I did before, I drew it from imagination, and I'm like, you know, I should probably look at some references, because whenever you're designing a character, yeah, the initial drawing you do really fast, lay it down, but I already have the initial drawing laid down. Now I'm trying to make it better. Of course, this is years later, but even so, you want to kind of have a sketch, draw it down, and then go, like from imagination if you want, like I did, and then go back over it when you want to do the more finalized version. Then start looking at references, because references are going to be a big help. And so I'm looking at different references for the hair, and I'm like, this looks pretty cool. I can't remember why I showed this. I think I was just thinking about it, and I was like, oh, that's right. I mentioned this woman, and I couldn't remember like what her name was and stuff, so I just looked it up real quick, and I was like showing it, because I don't know, ADD or something. I mentioned her, so I'm like, I got to show you guys what I'm talking about. She doesn't really play any inspiration. I didn't know about her when I originally designed the character. And so then I'm thinking, well, what if because there's that one image I saw, I'm like, what if I give her that kind of hair? That's kind of cool. You know, like that one image. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm just like, I don't know, it just doesn't fit the character. And I can't remember when I came up with the Susie Sue name, but her name is Susie Sue. So she's the Susie Sue gothic hillbilly. Then I thought, nah, this hairstyle is much better. I want to make it a little bit messy. And then kind of have the bangs kind of coming. Then she has this kind of longer bang right here. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. I like this hairstyle. So I think looking at some images, even though I didn't actually use any particular image for this hairstyle, but looking at different images, I was able to put together a kind of hairstyle. And there's one that was kind of really similar to this, but it kind of inspired me. So it's always good to kind of look at references, because it might inspire you to, you know, make the character better. And so I'm just drawing the, you know, in fact, you don't even have to do all this. Like, it's really not even necessary. You can literally just paint when you do the coloring, just paint the face without even a face on it at all, and just tell a girl's face, and AI should fill in a face for you. But what I like to do the face for is because I want it to kind of stick to my design here, and so I want the face to kind of resemble this when I'm done. So that's why I went ahead and kind of drew some face out. Now it's not going to be able to do the lip ring, so I wouldn't even bother drawing that, because it's not going to do it right anyway. So just don't even do the lip ring and just add it afterwards, which is what I should have done. But anyway, I drew it on there anyway. So like overall, the character's coming out nicely, and I'm like, okay, now I got to design some clothes. Now I was taking some, you know, thought about this. I was like, well, should I give her the original tube top? I'm like, nah, that was pretty generic. The only reason why I did that is because it was easy to do, and I was drawing fast and sketching, and then I didn't really carry out the character design as much as I should have. And so that's what I'm taking the time to do now. I'm taking the time to really design out my character. And so you might be thinking, well, where does the AI come into this so far? So far, you've only used AI for the background. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you how AI comes in handy here. You can, you know, like I said, you can design the entire character. It's still your character. And then really all I'm going to use AI for is to render my character. Imagine that you draw something, it's like, that looks pretty good, but there's still like 5 hours more to render, or 10 hours sometimes to render, depending on how big the piece is and stuff. Like, in order to like finalize it, like adding by render, I mean adding all those final details, right? Which you'll see in a bit. If you have AI do that for you, it'll retain the essence of what you drew, but it's basically like you hired someone to like finish your drawing for you. Like, here, I did all the fun part. I hate some people like rendering. I don't like it. And then you're like, here, do all the like stuff that takes forever, which is what rendering takes forever to get it to that finalized piece. And so I thought maybe her bra can be showing here. And I thought about necklaces. I decided against them, but I decided I'll give her a choker. That's cool. That kind of fits that gothic look. And then, you know, she has some of her lace bra sticking out, which is what I decided to go with. Now, so cool ways to do that. Now I'm thinking about the skirt here. I actually take a while to talk about clothes designs and how to design clothes. I'm actually working on a course. I put it on pause because I decided to work on this other course first, and then I'm going to finish the clothing course. So the clothing course is still going to be coming for those that have been waiting. Some people have been asking for that course for like 4 years. And I go all through about how to design clothes and like the different kinds of the way they're stitched together. Everything you need to know to like really design clothes and draw clothes from imagination, and also how to better draw clothes from references. And so I'm showing here is the different kind of skirts there are. So I was showing this kind here where it's kind of like they kind of stack, fold side to side. And then I was showing you how you have the box one, or no, this was like an accordion. Then you also, and I don't think anyone really wears those though. And you have this one, which is the box kind. I think it's called, I don't know, pleated box or something, box pleated skirt. And so I'm showing here is how from different angles. So from the down angle, this part here goes back farther. And I'm going to show what I mean by that. I'm going to show it in Daz Studio and stuff. This is the main shape it makes. As you can see, like this is the part that sticks out. And then we can draw that from a different angle, like this. And you can see, I'll fast forward to right about there. These are the parts that we see sticking out. Now, if we're viewing it from more under view, notice these lines, the dark ones that go back, like these are the folds that come out, that stick out toward us. And then these are the ones that kind of are underneath between these. And that's why they're darker. From the under view, this line is under and this line is above. You see that? That's because of perspective. I'm going to show what I mean by using a quick 3D thing. But first I'm going to just kind of draw this skirt out there, kind of get the basic idea of what I'm going for. Boom, like that. So that video I just did was, sorry about that, skipping ahead. That video I just did was about 50 minutes. And the other video before that was 50 minutes. And then, so it's like, or like 20 minutes, 50 minutes. This one's 50 minutes. Yeah, like, and if I post real time, it might be like 3 hours long. I don't know if anyone wants to see everything in real time. So what I'm showing here is these are both even. So I'm explaining. So I'm explaining here, like, so I have one here and one here, right? So one's in front of the other. I'm kind of explaining how it is right here. Right, so now when we look at this, you see when I view it from below, so this is the one that's behind. This is the one that's shaded, and this is the pleated part that comes in front of us that we can see like in front. Let me go back to the skirt so I can show you. Because that's what I was explaining with this right here. I was showing you that the red one, that's the one that's behind, and this green is the one that's in front. Right, so imagine this. I should have colored these boxes, but so notice that when we look down at it, this one, which would be the red one, this is the green one, the line's behind and this line's in front. You see that? But if we then look from underneath, it's different. See, now the green one is lower and the red one is higher. That's really important to understand with perspective. And I teach all this in like my How to Draw Stuff perspective course. It's just important to know that. So when we're viewing it from like kind of straight on, even from straight on, these would be even. You don't want to do that, right? You still want to make it to where these go back and these come forward a little bit. You don't want them to be just a straight line. It doesn't look good like that. But right here it's kind of coming up, and this part right here, because this is coming toward us, we're seeing up into it. I could make this come down a little bit lower. I could draw that shape right there if I wanted to, but I didn't. But I could still do that actually. I was thinking about designs here, and I still don't know if I like this designer here. I'm almost wondering if maybe I should just have a little chain hanging here and a little chain hanging here. I don't know. I just wanted something more details to add. I was thinking about we could add like not nylons, but fishnets with holes in them, and I thought that could look cool. That could be a nice detail. But ultimately, I decided. Oh, and then I was thinking about these things, these kind of socks right here that get thicker toward the bottom. I thought that would look cute. That would be kind of a cool character. But I decided against it. So here, notice I'm drawing the fat kind of sticking out a little bit right there, and AI will kind of pick that up and render it like that. Well, it should. I can't remember if it does or not actually. If not, you can easily just go by and paint it again. So if I want it to kind of stick out like that still, like, or you can kind of see the fat because it's like the socks are really squishing against the skin tightly, and then it kind of has the skin, you know, kind of comes out like that. Anyway, that happens, so that's part of physics. And I could, if I don't, we'll see the final version again and see if I did that or not. Drew a star there, belly button with a piercing, but that's something I'm going to have to paint anyway. I'm kind of doing the stripes, how I was thinking about how the stripes should be. I decided to change up her design a little bit from the original. Well, I mean, there's a few things I was changing, like you can see here, but I thought, man, she's wearing like this one glove, that might be kind of cool, that matches her stockings. And I really like the idea that she's red and black, and so I decided to add this back into her like little bracelet jewelry stuff. I'm gonna let AI kind of just go wild with that. You know, for the hand here, I just looked at my own hand, by the way, just to kind of get an idea how it looked, and just, you don't have to like draw it super detailed, because AI is going to pick all that up for you. So same thing here, just the basic idea of the hand here is all I need, and the AI is going to do the rest. Also, AI is probably going to mess up stuff as it does the hands. I'm probably going to have to repaint some of it anyway. So I'm just like, don't spend too much time, you know, with the details here. Overall, I'm thinking the design's looking pretty nice. I'm going now and just erasing some of the other layer that I had that's not the clothing. So that way those lines don't show through. And then we're just doing fill in, right? You just go in with a brush, you fill it in, and you can also just fill in with the paintbrush or the paint bucket. So I'm just doing what's called flats, right? So I just paused it while I did all the flats, which is just laying out all the different colors on its own layer. I just do all this on one layer, by the way. Some people like to like put each item on its own layer, and you can do that if you want, but I don't need to. So now I have all the flats done. I then took the background layer, turned the opacity back up so I can see how she looks against the background. And I'm thinking, cool, I might want to, I should have took the background into AI first and did this and rendered this all out first, and then put her back in. That's what I should have done. And that would have made it better. Well, at least would have made it easier to, anyway, you'll see what I mean when we render the background, but yeah, so flats are boring to do. Some artists will actually hire someone to do all their flats for them. That way they don't have to spend all the time doing it, because it's one of the most boring things when it comes to coloring your work. And so a lot of people outsource their flats, especially if they have a lot of work they have to do. Like if you're working on a comic book or something, you want someone who just that does the flats for you. Then what I do is I make a copy of that layer. I then set the layer to multiply. I don't know if you can see that. So I set the layer to multiply, and then I make a mask. You click on this mask icon right here. This is in PaintStorm. By the way, this is only $20 and you own it for life. It's my favorite program to paint with and draw with. I only use Photoshop for certain things, but not for like my drawing and painting. Anyway, you click this icon to get it there, then you just fill it in with black with the paint bucket, and then you use the paintbrush on white to redraw back on the mask to make it reveal it, right? And that gives you like this cool kind of shadows. So come in, I'm just thinking about where the light's coming from, kind of from the upper right, and just kind of, and this, I teach all this in my courses, so just, you know, check out my courses for learning how to, you know, do light and shadow and form and all that kind of stuff. Now once all that's done, then I come in on that layer. I think I was able just to paint right on the layer itself. Yeah, so I'm just painting right on the layer itself. I just set my airbrush to color. Now I'm just going to color in what I already had, you know, like what's being revealed. Technically I'm coloring, you click on this icon right here, and I'm technically coloring the whole thing, but I'm only revealing, right, the mask is revealing only some, anyway, you get the idea. And so I'm just coloring it into like kind of a pinker color. Then I just take my airbrush, set it to add, and just add some of these kind of highlights here. And that's going to let AI know that, hey, this is how I want you to render this. I want you to render this with a nice harsh lighting. The sun's really beating on it. And then I just did the same thing with that way it kind of knows how to make the hair gloss. I can't remember if it made the hair glossy or not now that I think about it, but I can always add that into it if it didn't. I'm adding some highlights here, some edge lighting, some back lighting. And the reason why I'm doing that is, well, one, because the sun's behind her, but also because it helps separate her from the background. And AI will use that information and make it look cool. So from a distance, this actually looks decent, right? It's like, hey, that's a decent rendering. And I did it really fast. It's like, that's kind of a decent rendering from a distance. But when we zoom in, and I did some shadow down there, fixing up the house a little bit, adding a barbecue thing, It ends up changing my barbecue a lot. And I don't know why. I should have looked at a reference, but I did it like this, and I was these should be like metal, like thin metal bars here coming off for the legs, but whatever. I did it like that, and I like kind of like what AI did with it. It kind of looked homemade and rigged. I'm like, yeah, that's more hillbilly anyway. So kind of a happy accident, and I like how it ends up coming out. And so here I just bring in a tire from online. And then if I was using Photoshop, you can just easily get rid of the white. Sometimes I'll save it out as a layered file, Photoshop file, then take it into Photoshop, take all the images I might be using and get rid of all the white in them. It's faster. This software doesn't really have anything like that anyway. So now I have the tire in there, and that's enough. AI is going to understand what that is, and it's going to add it. It's going to make it to be the style that we have. I decided I want this to be like this kind of window. So just changing the door. I decided I don't like the color, so I use my brush on a color, and I color all that in brown. I'm like, cool, that looks cool. Let's go to add a little bird here, like a little crow. Literally, that's all I do. I don't have to do that much detail. AI is going to understand what that is when I tell it that it's a crow. Here I add the lip ring, but I didn't have to because honestly it messes it up anyway. So it's better to not do the lip ring and add the lip ring afterwards, which is what I end up doing anyway. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to save this out. So that looks good. And like I said, from a distance, it looks pretty decent. But when we zoom in, the lines and stuff don't actually look that good. So I just forwarded it here for a second. I'm starting up AI now, but I forwarded this a little bit just so you can kind of see the line work. If someone printed this out, it just looks sloppy. So I'd have to go in and I'd have to, draw the proper lines and everything, and then after drawing the proper lines in its own layer, then I can get rid of the sketch layer. Then I have to still go in and and finalize all these, like the coloring is not, it's really fast and dirty, so I have to come back in and fix up all the coloring. There's at least another 3 to 5 hours just in rendering to do on that piece, and that's just one character. Imagine if there's several characters. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do all that work. That's too much work, especially if it's for an illustration being paid for. Or it's an illustration you want to sell. You want to sell, the full high res version of it so they can print it out. You can't have it with this kind of quality. It's not high enough. You need much better quality than this to do that, and that takes a lot of time. That's where most of your time is going to be spent. I can bust something like this out in an hour, 2 hours. Like because I'm thinking about all the design and stuff. Now another way you can do this, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Let's go ahead and back up here. Another way you can do it is use DAZ Studio, and I kind of teach that in the course. But you can make the DAZ Studio have a body like this, or you can download bodies that are like that already, or just kind of alter the parameters in DAZ Studio to have like a thinner waist, all that kind of stuff. And then when you take that, it's a PNG, and Photoshop using the liquify tool, you can then really push in and make the waist much smaller, and then you can have a body that's more like this anyway. And then after you have that body, then you draw the clothes or just do some quick, painting of the clothes on top of that. And then you'd bring that into the thing. The problem with that is, though, it doesn't have this kind of cartoony style to it. So you might want to paint on top of that a little bit, draw on top of the DAZ Studio body, or it should be able to know that it's supposed to turn it into a cartoon style because that's what we're telling it to. So now we're inside AI here. This is Invoke AI. This is what we use. I teach you how to download everything in the course. I think I might want to do an updated version, by the way, just showing you how to, it's still kind of the same. Like we have to download, CUDA, you have to download, you don't have to download CUDA, I think you do anyway. You have to download, what is it? Visual Studio. It actually tells you when you go to update it or whatever. When you download the thing, that it'll tell you what to do. You have to download Visual Studio and pip, whatever. Anyway, it's pretty easy to do. So all that's kind of the same as the last update. So I don't have to update it. So here I'm just telling it, like, I have it in the style I'm using. I show in the live video, well, not live, but in the real-time video, I show like the different stuff I'm using now. The Pony Diffusion, this is one of my favorites, and then the Colossal one. And doing the settings, only at 0.5, which is kind of high actually. Usually I do like 0.3 or so, but I really wanted it to change that background there to make sure it looks like clouds. And then also look at our already, she's starting to look cool, but because I did the ring and I told it lips with rings, like it's trying to do all these other rings, but the resolution's too low. I need to be at like a 4,000 pixels for it, and even then it won't do it right. So you want to like make sure just paint the ring afterwards. and then go back into AI if you want, and then just select the ring and tell it this is a ring. The bird will be more detailed in a little bit. It's not quite there yet. And I go back and forth between the two models. Like the colossal model is what I'm going to use for some of the background images. So all I'm doing here is I'm just going step by step. So I already made the size bigger. So I made the size to be, I doubled the size, and I show how to do all that in the course. And after I'm at double the size, like 2,000 pixels tall, then I can do piece by piece, go in and start making all this. See how it's starting to render all this out? I really kind of like how sketching with a pencil and then rendering out like that, it really kind of maintains, I'm at 3.35 now, it really maintains some of that kind of like more pencil-y line work, but it's not, but it looks really smooth and nice, but it kind of, I don't know, it adds a really neat style. And AI wouldn't do that if it wasn't for the fact that, I had the pencil work there already. But notice how, because the way I colored this, see how it kind of carried that through? It's carrying the colors that I had there, this more peachy color for and then notice this kind of yellow and this nice highlights, all because I just added that in there. It's adding all that into this character now. And then as we blow it up bigger, we can add more detail and stuff. So I've decided, I'm telling it like the old house, barbecue, tire worn out, like blah, 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 all this stuff. I'm just telling it, that's what's all right here. Let's turn that into something. And then AI is going to do its magic, and it's going to start turning. And like, look, it didn't know. I don't know why I told it old BBQ grill, and I think it's because I had graphic novel illustration here, and I thought maybe that's the reason. And like, nope, it's not. It's because of the pony one. The pony one just doesn't do individual objects. It's trained so much on women that even sometimes if you tell a man, it'll make it a woman. And so in this case, even though I'm telling it a barbecue, it's like, oh, a woman? You want a woman? So the pony one, just be careful with that one. So anyway, that's why I switched over to the colossal project one. So this is the other, what do they call it, checkpoints that I'm using. So there's only 2 checkpoints I use right now, by the way. I used to have a lot of them, but now I just use those 2. I might download a 3rd one, but so far with these 2, I can pretty much do everything I need to do. And so now it's like, okay, that's a barbecue. Let's do that again. And I get something like this. And I'm like, that's actually cool. I like the fact that it decided to make it open and they're cooking stuff on it. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. I kind of like that. And notice it added the tire, and it totally changed the tire to fit the style of this kind of comic style. So I'm like, and it kind of looks like this is homemade. Like they had to, like they grabbed something, like their barbecue broke, and they had to grab some of the parts. So I really liked how it did that. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it, because I was gonna go back and repaint these as chrome, little like round legs, but then I was like, nah, I kind of like what it did there. I'm gonna keep it. So that was a happy accident. So here I'm just telling it striped goth glove, and bam, look at watch before, after, boom. And it's like, dude, that's nice. It literally just rendered my drawing. Like everything I did is there still. Like it's retained everything I had. And if you wanted to retain it more, I'm at 0.3 now. You can go all the way down to 0.1, and you might have to do it a couple times in order for that to, but look at that, boom. That's my drawing. It hardly changed anything. It just kind of rendered it out, right? So I don't have to sit there and render all that out. And I do that everywhere. So I'm just going piece by piece, and I'm just telling it, okay, now, by the way, these numbers up here are wrong. I don't know why this is that way. That used to read accurately up here, but they did something with the programming, and that's all messed up now. But these numbers are right. So as you change the size, you don't want to go bigger than like, 1,000 by 1,000 or 1024 by 1024. You can go a little bit bigger than that. I have a pretty good computer, so a 3080 GPU, and I have like 64 RAM and stuff. So it's pretty beefy computer. I don't know what it did there. Look what AI did there. Like it just had no idea what it was doing. Even though I told it like Gothic boot. Sometimes that happens. And I notice I'm still on the Colossus project. And I don't notice that till later because I forget to switch back when I'm doing her. I made that to the shadow. I just told it ground. Literally I just said shadow, ground, dirty pebbles. I just selected the shadow and boom, it fits it into the style. So it's like rendering all this stuff out. Look at, there's my sloppy stuff right there, and it turns it into that, which is awesome. Now I have some nice shadows. And you saw the what it did with the tire. I didn't have to draw the tire. Then with the I hate doing backgrounds anyway, but how it turned that quick barbecuer thing I made that just had kind of the shape of a barbecuer. That's another one I actually want to turn. I thought about using this pose because it's pretty cool, but I decided not to. I might still use it for this character and turn that into the character. I can maybe show how to do that, because in that case I don't have to draw anything. All I have to do is just paint on top of her and paint all my cool outfit and everything, and then render it out. So that takes a lot less time. So I'm still on the Colossal project here, and this is where it really changes the style. See that? This is like your typical AI looking stuff. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like I don't know what the style is. It's almost like a kind of a realistic. It's not quite even though I have it set to my graphic novel thing. When it comes to faces, it's still, when you have more high resolution face, it always does this to it, and that's why I needed to go back to the pony one, which I will. And look at it's like, so I'm like, all right, forget it. Let's just don't tell it anything about doing the ring. And also I noticed here with the hand, I can't, do I stick with this hand or do I, no, I think I repaint the thumb, which I'll show. Here I'm doing the lace of the bra, boom. So now I made, I think now I bumped the level of detail up to, I think I'm at 4,000 now. I'm pretty sure. I think I bumped her up to 4,000 to do the final details. And all I'm gonna do is a couple things here and there. So pretty much everything I keep at the 2,000 pixel high detail. As that, most everything will stay at that level of detail. But then a couple objects that I really want to stick out and look better and more higher detail, like her hand, her face, maybe her belt, this lacing. I want to bust out those details at a 4,000 pixel size. And that's the final print size. By the way, like 4,096 pixels is enough to print out like at a 40-inch with really nice look, a really nice poster at like 40 inches, like basically a big movie poster. All right, so see that? Boom, look, watch, instant crow. Now the other software, I had to put it to 0.55 to really get it. The other, not the other software, the other checkpoint, the other model, here it just calls them models. The other model, the pony model, if I think I would have put it to 0.55, it would look more like a crow. But sometimes with certain objects, it's good to use the colossal for background objects and stuff for certain things, and then switch back over to pony and then basically go over it again. And that's what I end up doing right here. So now I'm back to pony diffusion, V6 XL. And so now I just select that area again, and then I do it at 0.35. Everything's the same, and just render it out one more time. Now it renders it out more in that style. See how it changed the style from this, which looks cool. It still kind of looks like a comic, but it's still too, I don't know, the crow's too realistic. Bam, now I like that much better. So this is something I do a lot. So the hand here wasn't kind of coming out right, and I realized, oh, it's because I wasn't on pony diffusion. So now I re-rendered the hand again under pony diffusion. This isn't how I wanted the hand, so I'm going to repaint the thumb back in, and then I can't remember if I go back over it again with AI. I don't think I do. I think I just leave my final painting on there. So I realized that why the face is looking like that. So now I'm going to go back over it a few times with pony diffusion, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now we're getting that overall kind of cartoony style and vibe that I was going with originally. She's looking pretty cool. I think I maybe I'm still only 2,000 pixels tall actually. Oh, this is another, I was showing other characters, like I was showing other characters I'm working on, and I was showing you how like I can still maintain this really cool style. This one has some goofiness about it. Now I realize I should probably fix. Well, it still needs a lot of work. It's not close to being done, but I think maybe your torso is a little bit too long. I don't really like that. So I think I'm going to shorten this in here. So I'll just kind of squash it down and then re-render it again. This one I already posted. This is not the final version. This was like an older version because it like stores it on here. So I kept it just in case I wanted to rechange some things, but the final version's already finished actually on my DeviantArt. So everything's looking pretty good. Like there's some stuff I need to fix now. Like I definitely don't like this right here and this. Now I'm going to go through, I'm going to start painting stuff that I want to change. And then I might go back into AI one more time and render out some stuff again. So that's like my process. And so there's different processes that I use. This is the one I use when I really need a very highly customized character and I need it to fit into a certain style. And so this is pretty much just, it's basically just rendering my style. Like I have what I already laid down there beforehand, and it just kind of rendered that out for me and made it look cool. And then I have to go do some final touch-ups painting here. And I think now I'm at 4,000 pixels. Because typically oh, that's right. So I'm still rendering some things. I thought I was already back in the thing now. So I'm just rendering out the skirt again a little bit. See if I can get some, have it render out the belly button again. And then I think maybe, hold on. So imagine the, the real time one. Okay, now I'm back in the paint program here. So yeah, I am at 20. Oh no, I am at 5. Okay, I don't know why I put 44. It should be 4096. I go back and change it. I go back and change that to 4096. The reason why I did that is because the original one I was working on was 2048, whatever. And so I need to change it to 4096 to match the bigger output that I got from AI because I upscaled it. And so now I'm taking that in and I'm just basically pasting it on top of it. And I want to make sure the same size. So I just basically took my drawing and I upscaled it within here to 4096. That way my drawing could be in here so I can just kind of see. So there's my drawing and there's the AI version. So overall, it's maintained a lot of what I had here and a lot of what I liked. And notice it fixed the face for me because I did my face really fast. And it's still a little bit big. Like I think overall the features were a little bit big and it kind of made him a little bit smaller. See that? A little bit smaller. Overall, I think the lips mainly was the main thing that I had kind of drawn too big. Now I could give her the bigger lips like that if I wanted to. And look at the hair too. It kind of, and notice it, see how it added that halo to the hair? Because I had that halo in the hair. Otherwise it might not have done that. Okay, so at this point we got to do the finalizing. And so now I come in here. I basically did my original drawing and I put it on another layer. And then I'm drawing on another layer on top of that so I can get the basic idea of my thumb. See that? So I basically just kind of doing some line work on top so I can have something I can see for the thumb that I drew previously. And now I'm going to paint using these colors. I'm going to start painting in the thumb to where it matches how I originally had done it. Looking at different things, I go into Liquify. I'm using it on the, what's it called? When you go to Liquify in this program, you can choose like draft or half or full resolution. And if you wanted to work really fast on a higher resolution, to just do draft. Usually half is very fast too. That way when you're using the Liquify tool, it works quickly. And I just merged the button down, her belly button, because her belly button should be halfway between her love handles. And so her belly button was too high. And all this kind of stuff is important to know anatomy-wise so that you can know the mistakes that AI makes and how to fix them. I end up painting my own belly button anyway because the belly button it did wasn't very good. And I went ahead and painted this because it didn't look right. And so there's a lot of little things I have to come and fix in. I got to fix the hand because it added rings for some reason. And so I'm just going in fixing some of the hand anatomy. I redrew the thumb. I think it looks too big right now. So I'm going to go into Liquify. I'm going to just kind of reshape it and resize everything a little bit here. I'm like, okay, cool. Now the hands look much better. And I think I did a good enough job repainting it. And then I used this tool. It's a new brush I made. And I really like this. I've been using this brush a lot on my work to kind of add this kind of neat. You'll see I'll use it here and there like that. See? Add these little lines. And it just helps the transition and also just adds this kind of cool style that when you print it out, you can actually see that when you get closer up to the poster. But when you're kind of more of a distance, you can't really notice it as much. And it just looks cool. Adding it to little places here and there, I decided to go that way with it. Add some lines here, here. I just go around and kind of where like shadows are meeting the light. I'm just kind of adding some of these lines. And you can also add it into colors and stuff like that. And you can also add it to background. I just noticed AI messed that up. So I'm like, you shouldn't be able to see the skirt from this angle, the back skirt. You should just see the front of it. So I'm just kind of fixing up a lot of little errors that AI makes. And I got to fix her lips up. And so I'm just painting like that. So all I did there is just took a shadow color and just kind of paint the shadow of it. It should be more skin tone, which I think I fixed later. And see, I like the snaggletooth looks. I've been adding that to a lot of my females. I'm coming here and kind of fix the eyes up, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna have the AI go over the face one more time anyway at this high resolution. But see, I'm just doing the very basic idea of the lip ring. That's actually good enough. Like the way I just now painted it right there looks good. That will look good in print. But I decided to go to another level with it and have AI render it a little bit more, which makes it look really nice. And so I kind of fixed up the bird feet here because the AI really screwed up those bird feet. So I'm just repainting the belly button here. You want to kind of start. I actually talk a lot about this in real time. Like I said, if I get enough people asking for the real time video, then I'll post it. I think. I don't know if I want to actually. It takes a long time to render it all out. So I decided I think I'm going to go with a red belly button because they make them. They make the glass, like colored glass. They also make plastic. And so I'm like, that would look cool, I think, rather than silver. And then they just like that. That's it. Like that's the finalized belly button. I don't need to have AI do anything with that, but I think I might do it anyway. This hand's all kinds of jacked up, so we got to fix it up a lot. And this is where AI kind of struggles with hands. But if you go ahead and repaint the hand, usually if you then go back into AI and select the hand again and tell it hand, it'll usually, and do it on a low, like maybe at 0.1, 0.2, it'll usually maintain what you did, but just kind of render it out correctly and make it look nicer. So here I'm just kind of, making sure the shoelaces are overlapping the right way and everything. So that way when I re-render the boot in AI, it'll like fix that. So all I did here is I took my original drawing that I had there and I kind of just retrace this on a new layer. And then that way I can see what I want, and then I come in and start painting over that and kind of get the shape I want there. I didn't like the eye color, so I just took my my airbrush, I set it to color mode, repaint these blue, and then I set it to add and just add some highlights in there. And like, cool, now I got blue eyes, looks pretty nice, added some more eyelashes and stuff in there. And honestly, the face looks good like this, but I decided I'm going to have AI render it out a little bit more. I add those like pinks to the eyes right there. So AI should see that and add that. But I'm gonna actually, because the face is taking up so little of the screen, because this is a full body shot, even though the whole thing is like 4,000 pixels, it's still not enough detail. Because now if the head were bigger, it would be fine. Like if I was doing a half body or something where this was like much closer, therefore the head was taking up more of the real estate of the canvas. If the head was like twice as big as it is now on the canvas, then that would have been perfect. At 4,000 pixels, it would have added enough detail to the face. But as you can see, the head is so tiny compared to the whole image, which means that it's not taking up that many pixels. If this was more like this close up on her, like I say, it was zoomed into like right about like here or something, and that whole image was 4,000 pixels tall, then the head would be like twice as big, taking up twice as much pixels, and that would look great. So all I do is I just take it back into AI and I double it again to 8,000 pixels, which gets quite hefty and starts like, it really starts tugging on machines at that size. Then I just reduce it back down to like 6,000 or 4,000. I think I'd leave it at 6,000. Just fixing up some stuff in the background here, adding some of those cool brush strokes. That was with that same brush that I made, because I just wanted to add some cool detail in the background there. It looks neat. Add some of that on the ground as well. Just want to kind of unify this brush everywhere because I added on her skin, so I want to make sure I kind of unify it throughout the painting. I like doing this with the cheeks too. Just adding those lines. You can also draw them the other way, like they're going up and down. You can also draw them horizontally, and that looks really nice, kind of like anime. Did on her nose as well. Signed it, but then I was like, you know what? I want to fix a little more things, and also I decided I don't know if I actually record this or not. Now that I think about it, I think I did though. Where I take it back into AI. Let me see. So let's see what else I do here. Oh, that's right. I remember I had to fix the lacing. See how the way the AI rendered this lacing is wrong? So I need to go and make sure the shirt is overlapping the lacing. So I'm just repainting some of this like that. And also I decided I don't really like the detail of the lacing. So I'm going to go back in here and just redo this. An easy way to do that is you just paint it whatever color your fabric is. In this case, it's black. And then just take the skin tone and you want a darker skin tone like this skin tone. And you just paint this like, this pattern works nice for lace. You can actually just leave it like that. It's like two ovals, an oval, and then two small circles. And that pattern It's pretty nice for lacing, and you can literally just leave it like that, and like when I see it from a distance, it actually looks good, and that will look good in print. But I decided to take it back into AI at 8,000 pixels, so I'm going to double it one more time, adding a bunch of these little shapes everywhere. I think it looks really nice. From a distance, you can't really see it. I'm fixing a lot of the chain, make sure it looks nice. From a distance, you can't really see any of that from a distance. It just looks like nice colors. You know, you can't really see. And I did some bigger lines here. You can see them from a distance. But a lot of these other ones you can't see unless you're like close up. So when that prints, if it's at a 40 inches, so let's say a big movie poster, if you were standing like 5 feet away from it, you wouldn't really be able to see those details. But as you walked up closer, you start to see those kind of texture details, those brush textures, and it just looks nice. So here I decided to, actually, did I render it out already? Hold on, let me see something. So I might have already rendered it out at 8,000 pixels. Yeah, okay, so that's what so what you're looking at now is you're looking at a lot of the stuff. So I forgot to record that part. So I took it back into AI. I then doubled the size one more time. And I'll show how I'll do all this in the course. And I doubled the size one more time, and then I re-rendered the face because I wanted it to really get out the details. I also re-rendered this right here. And I don't know if that looks better or this what I painted looks better. So I might just look better if I just repaint it. In general, I also redid her bracelet here to have more details. And I think I redid her belt as well in AI. So now what I did too, I forgot to show you, is I actually painted some of this kind of blue highlights into the lips before I took it back in AI. I forgot to show that because I just didn't record it for some reason. But look at how it re-rendered the ring. Like very similar to what I had, but it still looks better. It looks really cool. But I like how the AI saw these colors, how I had to make it look more glossy because I added this kind of bluish, bluish gray tint here to really pop that glossiness, and it looked like AI obviously saw that and added that to it, so that was cool. I'm going to intensify it though, so I just went ahead and painted that. I'm painting the teeth. I want her to have that snaggle tooth, so I'm going to kind of paint that in there still, so that's nice. There we go. The nose is messed up. You see, I don't know why it added this weird shape here, but it did. And so I like the eyes though. The eyes came out really nice, and it maintained my lines that I had there. But I got rid of the lines on the nose, so I'm gonna re-add them like this. And so what I did is I put it on its own layer. I make that brushstroke on its own layer, and then I erase what I don't want. That way I have those nice lines in the nose. Then I repaint some of the nose to make it look nicer. And yeah, just want to repaint all this. I have a free lesson here on this channel. So if you search for noses, search my channel for how to draw and paint noses, or well, do search for both of those. Search for how to draw noses and how to paint noses, and see what comes up. Because I believe I have one how to draw and I have another one how to paint them. So that's a cute little button nose. That's my favorite kind of nose to do, and I think it looks the coolest. So that's what I usually do. And look, I want to add that texture right there. Boom! Now I got texture. So when you're like, either you zoom in on the digital, or if you print this out at the if you buy the print size of my DeviantArt, only like $3 or something like that, or $5. I can't remember what I charge. Different prices for different things, but it's usually between $3 and $5. And then you can print it out and then add poster size. And so as you get closer to the poster, you'll be able to see those details. And so yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think that's it. All right, now let's look at the final piece one more time. All right, so here's the final piece. See that barbecue in the background looks really cool. I went ahead and did one more level of detail on that. And look, everything looks cool. And as you zoom in, you can really see these line works. And I kind of repainted some of this a little bit. And then I had AI go over it again. Then I could go back and repaint some more of this chain link, because right here it looks a bit weird. So I could go and repaint some of that. The hand is just literally what I painted. I didn't have AI go over it again because I think I tried, but it wasn't doing a good job. And then you can see here. And look, it matches the style really well. That's all, I could have tried to have AI go over the hand one more time just to see what it did with it. I should have done that actually. And then I like how it has, see the halo in the hair, looks really nice. So it kept my hairstyle. See how it's kind of messy on the side? You have the red streak. Like everything I did is pretty much maintained. It just rendered it out in this really nice, kind of cartoony, comic book stylized. And then the lip ring looks really nice now. Here's the lacing. I think that might be something else I want to change. I already have, well, actually, no, I haven't actually posted this. So I might actually change this before I post it on DeviantArt for sale. And just post it, but like if people want to buy the printed version, they can to print it out, the large version. Yeah, I might actually change that. I might just repaint that as to be a cool. I'll just repaint it black and then take the skin tone and do some cool design. I might actually just look up some basic design for lace. But yeah, everything. Then I kind of went ahead and redid some of this here. I forgot to actually, I should have had AI render this part right here out one more time because that looks a little bit rough. I kind of painted it quickly and I was going to have AI redo that again and I just forgot. And then the boots look good. I could have AI go and maybe go over the boots one more time. I don't think it's necessary. I think it actually looks nice like that. But I might do it at the 6,000 pixels. That might be the final things I do to it. I might repaint the lacing. I'm going to have AI just redo this right here and right there. And then I think I might have AI go over the boots one more time just to see what it does with them. So maybe I should do that right now. Or at least for the boots and stuff. All right, so when you open this up, you just then click here and upload our image. And it's going to be, yeah, 6,000 pixels high. I'm then going to reduce this down to, that's still too big. Got to reduce the square way down to something about there. So I can go to like 1,024, even make like that high. That should be fine. So these are the numbers I'm going by, not these ones up here. That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna kind of select some of that too. It looks weird. Some of those shapes don't look right. Now, it might not have enough context here to know what this is, but it should be fine if I do it at a lower. I'm going to lower this to like 0.25. And then we're going to tell this graphic novel illustration. I'm going to tell it that these are so the striped stockings. I'm going to be putting diffusion. I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to leave this one, but then I'm going to add the graphic novel one. Let's see if it renders this out. I've had my computer on for a while, a couple days without restarting it, so this might be a little lame. By lame, I mean slow. All right, cool. So that started to render it out a little bit. I might then, this looks fine now. Might want to render that out one more time. Let me see what it looks like. So by doing multiple passes at a lower denoising strength, it sticks more to what you have there and only makes smaller alterations to it, so it doesn't change it too much. And I like that. It looks nice. I just want the lines to look nicer because, like, also another thing you can do, and I've actually done this for jobs. So this guy hired me on Fiverr to do chessboard pieces. I don't like what I did right there. I can fix that. These chessboard pieces, and all I did is I drew them, with pretty nice line work, but then I took them into AI and then I blew it up at high resolution, and then I just told AI that this is a vector art. I turned this way down to like 0.1 or maybe even 0.5, and it didn't change my design at all. It just made all my lines look super crisp and sharp, like perfect lines. I just want to show the very minimal work it's doing here, but watch, here's what I had, kind of sloppy. Here's what it did. See, it takes what's already there and just makes it nicer and sharpens it up a little bit there. So that looks really nice. And so cool. And then I'm going to try that with the boots now. Let's see what we can do with this, like a goth boot, and see what it does. So I'm going to select the whole boot here, like that. Since we're at such a high resolution, it really should do some nice work here. Goth boot. So yeah, that came out really nice. Here's a before and after. And that's after, before, after. Looks pretty cool. I'm gonna, out of curiosity, I'm gonna pump this up to like 0.5 and see what it does. Yeah, even cooler. I like that a lot. See here, before, after. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna, this is too close together. I'm gonna take that and just make that all this brown right here. So that's pretty cool. Let's try the other one too now. I'm gonna go a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. It doesn't really need more context for this, so I could make the square a little bit bigger, but this will make it render faster. I'm gonna leave it at 0.5. Yeah, it's cool. If anything, it actually made it look even more like cartoon style. Now, the only reason why you want to do something that's this small, because like look how little pixels the shoes are taking up. This is like 4,000 pixels tall. They're taking up very little bit of area. So the smaller an object is inside of a thing, the less pixels it takes up, the harder time AI has with it. But that's why, well, actually now we're at 6,000 pixels tall. That's right. So if you notice an object just isn't coming out right at 4,000 pixels, and you're telling it shoes and it's just kind of goofing them up, and it's not quite making them right, or like the face, isn't quite coming as detailed as you want and sharp, whatever it is you're working on, try to go to 8,000 pixels. Double it one more time. And if your computer just really slags on that, then you can take it into your art program and reduce it down to 6,000 pixels, and then just go in and that's what I'm at right now, 6,000 pixels, and just go in and add some of those extra details. So something you might want to do. One other thing I want to mess around with maybe here, just kind of curious. Click that to erase those. Go right here. Let's tell it. Oops. Undo that. I don't know why it switched to. Let's tell this that this is a pierced belly button. Could maybe even tell it like barbell belly button, or pierced belly button and then type barbell. And I'm just showing you sometimes that it doesn't do the best job you want, especially when you have the denoising strength so high. And so that was all in real time, by the way, so I want to show you how fast it renders. Look at that. That's like, what did it do, right? So sometimes that happens. So watch, try this though. Try to go to 0.2 and then see what it does. And look at that. Still, some things it knows, some things it doesn't. And so you just have to paint some things. What we could try though, just out of curiosity before I close this down, let's go to this one. Oops, wrong one. I closed the wrong one. And let's try it one more time. And yeah, see, I think the problem is it's still just not enough like detail for it to go by. I mean, it kind of has somewhat of the idea. I think maybe if I were to go back to like 8,000 pixels, then it might be able to render, or even maybe more, double this to 12,000. I don't know, 12,000 pixels might actually try to transfer it over to this mode. It might actually freeze it, but I actually never tried that before. I definitely done 8,000. Sometimes it kind of lags a little bit to get the image, and it takes a little bit to load up. But yeah, anyway, all these lines look really nice. So I think that's good. And then I might repaint the lacing. Actually, let's see if I can avoid repainting the lacing. I should have done this at 8,000 pixels. Lacing, bra, sticking out of shirt. I mean, what I was trying to say is it might actually do the belly button. I mean, the belly button looks nice. I painted it, it looks fine. But I think if I were to do the belly button at higher resolution, have more pixels to work with, it might actually be able to do it. So there's before and after. I kind of like what it did there. Yeah, I think I like that better than that design. Cool. So I think that I don't have to repaint that, because I wasn't going to paint it by hand, but I think that actually looks good. So I don't think I have to repaint it by hand. And there we go. So now I have a finalized design of my character. Everything is, all my design. AI didn't design anything for me, right? I designed everything. Well, I guess it kind of designed the background a little bit. But I could have also painted some basic idea that I wanted for the background and did the exact same thing I did with her for the background. And so I could have done that, and then it would have just like rendered out all the details for me. But I still, decided to add these objects, and I could still add more objects. I can make the window broken. I can add people in the background. You just draw a little basic stuff, and then you render it over with AI, and it keeps to the style. So there you have it. Pretty cool, and it's an awesome, it's a really awesome technique that you can literally do anything with this, just about anything. Like I said, there's some things the AI just doesn't do, like it can't do the belly button, the lip piercing. There's some things like that it just doesn't do, and you're going to have to paint it yourself. So you have to have some painting skill, some drawing skill, to make professional illustrations. If you just have like not very much skill at all, then yeah, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do, because you're going to run into these problems, and also you have to be able to make changes. So like if the customer's like, hey, you know what, I like everything about this, but I don't like how the face is, and that's usually one of the easiest things to change. You can usually just go in the face and tell it, like, for example, what if they wanted her to be sad, or they wanted her to be angry or something. Now you might have to go back in and repaint it, but I just want to show, like, let's say goth girl pissed off. Oops. I think it's 2 R's. No, is it not 2 R's and 2 G's? Oh, two G's but not 2 R's. Okay. So see, even though I put lip ring here, it didn't maintain the lip ring, because I bumped it up to like 0.55, because you usually have to do that if you want to change the face expression. And honestly, that doesn't really look, she looked more kind of like, her lips look more pissed off here than here. Now she looks more like tired. So sometimes it doesn't always work. So you might have to go in and tell it, like, just do the eyes. Usually it'll do face expressions, like especially if I want to change the smile. Another thing you can do is you can take this into liquify tool and pull the eyebrows down, pull this up. That's to make it look more angry. And then so basically try to make the expression to be what you want as much as you can with a liquify tool. Then come in here and put it on a lower setting, and then you can just change that. I'm gonna put here very angry. And so there we have it. So now we have this kind of more angry look, but it changed the eye color. So I have to go back and rechange the eye color. But again, another way you can do this is use the liquify tool, make it look as close as you can to the kind of expression you want, then come back in AI, turn this way down to like a 2.2, and then just render out the eyes. That's another way to do that, to get that done. And let's say they're like, I don't know, I don't really like the hairstyle. You have to be able to go in and paint over the hair and repaint a new hairstyle. They're going to tell you hairstyles they want. Like they might say, I want my character to have this really cool, like thick, big braids. Well, they'll give you examples of different hairstyles, You have to be able to kind of do a basic drawing of that hairstyle with the colors they want. And, they might want certain kind of clothes. Like, hey, I want her wearing this cool leather jacket. Like I had a character where they wanted this very specific leather jacket. They showed me an image of it. So I had to like paint that leather jacket on my character. I didn't like paint it super detailed or nothing, just that the shapes were all there. And then I told AI leather jacket, and it took those shapes and it rendered it out for me, just like it rendered out the shirt. Like I designed this shirt, right? And then I just told it, this is a cool shirt. And it rendered out the shirt for me to make it look really nice like this with all the, I had some very basic shapes in there, and it turned it to much nicer shapes. The overall shirt is exactly the same as I designed it, but it just added these extra details to make it look better. Oh, that's right. I did want to see how it rendered the hand. So I don't want it all rendered, actually. I just want the thumb render. So let me get rid of that. And all I put last time, I think I put rock and roll hand gesture. Oh, I have that 0.55. That's probably too high. I'm going to reduce it to 2 and click this again. So it's going to batch save. It's going to render out the first one and then render out the second one. All right, so let's see what it did. So this is the second one. So this is at 0.2. That actually looks good. And then here's that 0.5. So it did way too much. Like, maybe I should have told it female hand. That's just way too goofy. compared to that. Also, it changed the style a little bit. Probably because I didn't have enough to look at, but it started making it too much lines. I didn't have this much lines, so that's why I want to have it at lower settings. So at 0.2, it's perfect. Look at before and after. Here's what I did. Here's what it did. Yeah, I actually like that better. It kind of made this line look kind of, it's kind of, I don't like that shape. I might just get rid of that shape, but I like that. So I'm going to download that and we're good. So I'm going to just paint out that little part. A couple little things I'm going to change actually as I just look in and zoom in on some stuff. So I'm going to change that little bump right there. I'm going to change that little wrinkle it added. I think that's about it. I don't think there's much else I need to do to this thing. I'm going to try this hand though to see what it does. Just tell it female hand. Yeah, so I just have it at 0.2. I really like what I did here. So because I'm at such a higher resolution, we're at 6,000 pixels, or normally if I was going to do this kind of stuff, I'd probably be, I'm going to fix that right there too. I'd be like 8,000 pixels. But so anyway, that's what I had there. And notice my brush strokes here are kind of sloppy because initially I was thinking I'm going to have AI redo that. I just didn't for some reason. And so now I did, and bam. So it made it look nicer. And I can come in and just fix up a little, I can fix up that little line right there. There's a couple little mistakes it made that I can fix up. But for the most part, it stuck really close to what I had there. So that's a really nice illustration. And so yeah, that's how I took my original character design. Maybe, I mean, hardly anyone of you guys are watching, like only like 2% or something watch to the very, very end. So let's do one more thing and do a before and after. All right, so there's the original sketch. This was really just a quick sketch too. This was not something I spent a lot of time on. And I took that character, that was back in like 2000, I think it says 18. I thought it was 17 I did that, but 2018, and then now in 2024. Boom. Kind of similar. I decided though I didn't really like the art. Also, it's almost like she's kind of like dancing, but I didn't really like the original pose. Oh, I could add the tattoo. Well, no, I can't because you can't see it. I could add a tattoo like here maybe or something. Anyway, I was going to add tattoo, but I didn't. Yeah, so I mean, I changed some little things here and there. Definitely changed this because that was just too generic. But overall, the essence, the idea, and look at it's still very stylized. Right, so this is, you know, because someone was like, "Oh, can you do it where it's all stylized?" Yeah, you can. I can make it stick to it. I could also just literally have AI render this out for me, and it would like make it look more like this, but like with this body style and stuff. And yeah, so now for those that stuck around this time, if you've watched all this, write in the comments what you'd like to see, what character you'd like to, or what would you like to see me do next. So here's some of the characters I have. Some older characters. I was thinking about redoing this character. This isn't my original character. For those that have played Lollipop Chainsaw, you'll know that's who she is. And that was a quick sketch I did back in 2018 also. And this was the really quick sketch version I did. And because I wanted it to be kind of stylized. Then I did this slightly more rendered version, but still, you know, it was like a comic style I was kind of doing at the time. So very, very quick painting. I don't spend much time to do this. Now I could probably literally just take this into AI and render a quick background and then start, you know, but maybe I'll put her like in a circus or something. I just did this quick background because it was easy, but maybe I can put her inside of a circus or inside of like, I don't know, maybe some zombies in the background or something, because that's, if you haven't played the game, then you know that's kind of what it's about. But I kind of wanted this kind of anime style here, kind of cutie look. I was kind of being inspired by, I'm sure people are already thinking of it. What's her name? Mandy or something like that. I forget the artist's name. He does like this cartoon kind of comic character. Does her in weird situations where like a dog's like pulling her panties or her swimsuit down and stuff like that. I think her name's Mandy. So I was kind of inspired by that kind of comic style at the time. And so yeah, but I think this would take a little bit extra work in order to get this to work with AI, because AI might not know what this is. and AI might not know. Obviously, it's not going to know what this is, so I'd have to like just do a basic top, and then I'd have to come back and color it in. Like I'd do a blue top, and then I would color it in with Photoshop, and then select this and then change the colors, and then I would have to change the colors for the letters and stuff. But this one might be fun. So if you want me to do this one and do like a step-by-step breakdown like I did with this one, let me know. I could do that. Also, I have this character I designed. Where is it at? Here it is. I think I might have done a version of this one already, though. I think I might have redone a version of this already using AI. But I don't know, maybe I can do it again because that's kind of a cool character design I came up with. Let's see, is there anything else I have on here that would be worth looking at real quick that I can redo with AI? I don't think so. There's this character, but it's kind of a female Gambit. I was just kind of goofing around. You know how like that was kind of popular for a while, making female versions of characters that don't have a female version. And I thought, what if Gambit was female? And I don't know if I like the overall design. It's okay. So I think, but what if I revisit this? And it's like, hey, let's revisit this and make it cool. And make a cool version of female Gambit. And maybe have some forced perspective to show you that AI can do that because it can do anything. It literally is just rendering out what's already there, basically, like when you draw it like that. So out of curiosity, let's see what it does. I mean, whatever, you're still watching this, right? So it's not like you're going anywhere. Let's open that up in AI and see what it does with it. I don't know if it's big enough, though. It might be. So let's close this. I want to pause for a second. Oh, perfect. It's like 1200 pixels by 960. I think I can do this whole thing. So let's tell this female Gambit character design. Holding playing cards. Do it at just 0.2 and see what happens. So this never used to be a problem. It got hung up and froze out, so I had to close out, open up again. I'm going to make this like smaller because it doesn't need to be that big anyway because there's nothing there but whiteness. And so I have it at a pretty low level, but also I'm using Colossal Project, and that looks okay for a start. I might have to double it in size already and then just start rendering out section by section. That might be the best way to do it, but I just want to see kind of what it would do with that. And so let's go also and set this to pony diffusion, which is what I normally have for characters, and then we'll do this one as well. Let's see what that looks like. Cool, so it keeps a lot of what I already had there, but I'd want to redraw and design it, maybe do a slightly different pose, kind of change the pose. This is kind of a goofy pose. Kind of change the pose a little bit, and then, but look at it, really rendered out everything there. And this is at low resolution, so, but it's already rendering it out nicely. Just out of curiosity, let's take it over here. Oh, can't show that on YouTube. I'm going to upscale this, and I'm going to take it back. And then I'm just kind of curious, like if I just render out parts of it, so how big can I make this? I can go easily like that. I'm just going to render out this part and see what it does. I'm also going to change this to like 0.35. I don't know why I added this like random like water on her face there. That's weird. But see, overall, it's starting to, a lot of my design is still there. Like this needs to be, I need to go to a higher resolution. Let's see how it's starting to add some details to the clothes here and stuff that look nice. And it's starting to like fill in some things. So it's looking cool. And then you go and I would, if it changes something too much, I would then go back and repaint that, to make sure that my original design is kept true. Let's also see how it does this here. I could just say, hand holding playing card, but I'm gonna go like this. Right, you can see there, see how it's already starting to take my hand and make it more detailed? Boom, like that. And so that's looking good. If I then, make it even bigger again and add more pixels, and then I can just go to the face, for example, and I can just tell it, I want to go bigger, like, double in size one more time to really get nice detail of the face. But watch, even if I just do sexy female, all the details are kind of there already, so it's not going to change much. And voila. And then if there's things I wanted to change, I can go in and repaint on top of this, like the exact expression that I want. Then I can come back in here and then sexy female and then kind of describe that expression. So if I wanted her like look confused or whatever, and then I can add that onto it. But yeah, so look at that. I'm already taking my original design here and like making it look cooler. But I can also start it as a smaller image and then have it do that whole image again, but really bump up the the size of the how much it does to it. So let me show you what I'm talking about real quick. I'm going to get rid of that. All this I'm just doing just to show you what I'm talking about stuff real quick, because I figured what the hell. We're just sitting here, and if you're still watching it, then cool. So let's go ahead and change this again to like there and like there. Sexy female version of Gambit, X-Men, holding playing cards. But watch this. Let's bump this up to like 0.55. And see how much it changed my design now? Like it altered it a lot. But it gives me some cool ideas. Like maybe I like the boots. So then I can save this out and then just take those boots, and then just copy the boots and then, paint out everything else. And now I just have those boots on my character. And let's say I like the, I kind of like what it's doing with the jacket. I like how it's restructuring, because like, see how I have her kind of down? It's kind of restructuring the pose where she's kind of pulling the shoulder up and back more, which properly changes the angle of the breast here. That actually looks better. So I might like that and be like, oh, that's cool, but maybe I don't like the jacket, right? I don't like what it's doing to the jacket design. And so I can then go back and repaint this bigger collar. Because see, I wanted this kind of big collar here, and then that kind of pink shirt underneath. So I come back and have it rechange that. I don't like what it did to the hand. I like my forced perspective and how she's holding the card. So I would then change my hand back. So I would take that and I would then I would just mix my hand in here, my backhand as well. Actually, I like what it did with the backhand. I kind of like how it turned the face toward us more. I mean, it's really goofy looking, but that's fine because it's small. When I make it go bigger, it will kind of refix that when I go back over it again. I mean, it totally changed this, but that's fine because it's like, don't need that there anyway. But looking at the boots, like look at all the extra detail added to the boots, but it's still keeping, to the overall kind of style that it's like more of a comic style. I kind of like what it did with the pants too, like overall shadowing. See how much it changes the shadowing? Sometimes just for that alone, it's like worth it, because it's like, hey, it's really doing a lot of work here and making, because like this is correct actually. This is actually how it would look versus that. Like I see, I had the darker shadow there, but there should have been a darker shadow here as well. I guess it depends on the angle of the light. If it's kind of coming toward us a little bit, then it could actually get in there. I think that's what I was thinking. And these are like glowing things on the side, but I don't know. I don't really like that design. I don't know why I liked it at the time. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, nah, that doesn't look good. Right, then I can look at some more Gambit images and then try to figure out, how can I reintroduce more Gambit kind of characteristics into her. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So anyway, that's another character I might do. Let me know what you guys think.